Ghost Rider was released on the PlayStation 2 in February of 2007 and is a character action game in the same vein as Devil May Cry and God of War. While Ghost Rider doesn't break any new ground, what it does with the character's source material and mechanics lifted from the aforementioned titles, it does decently well. And for a movie tie-in title, that's honestly quite rare. The game begins with a cutscene explaining that Johnny Blaze, also known as the Ghost Rider, is captured and taken to Hell. Long story short, Ghost Rider is told by Mephisto, who is a powerful demon in the Marvel Universe, that he needs to return to Earth and stop the bringing of the apocalypse. I'm not really going to get into all the specifics of what occurs afterwards, but a lot of stages await Senor Blaze. The graphics in the game run at 60 frames per second for the most part, and look pretty good for a PS2 era title. When things get too hectic, the game does seem to chug a bit, but honestly for the most part it's quite stable. I was afraid that the controls would be super stiff and feel like shit because of this being a tie-in game, because 90% of the time that's the case. I'm happy to say that that's not the case here. Ghost Rider controls really well and uses the same staples as most character action games of this era. You have light attacks, heavy attacks, a guard, evade roll, and lots of different upgrades to purchase with souls that are gathered from slaughtering demons. These come in the flavors of new combos and crowd control maneuvers, plus health upgrades. There are plenty of unlocks to play around with, and you can even get comics that aren't just covers, but you can actually read. There are also some characters that can be unlocked, like Blade and Vengeance. New character costumes like Ghost Rider 2099 can also be unlocked. Enemies come in the varieties of small enemies that are strictly melee based, annoying bitch-ass projectile enemies, and large enemies that can tank a lot of hits and sometimes do both melee and projectile attacks. Instead of there being things like flashes to let you know when attacks are coming your way, Ghost Rider seems like it does cues totally based on audio. When an enemy is about to fire a projectile or attack from a distance, they will make a noise. This may seem a little odd, but it happens to be a cool addition because it helped keep bullshit off-screen attacks from happening so often. I mean, there are still tons of off-screen attacks, but I knew they were coming and was able to defend myself with a block or a roll before they even hit me. Johnny can do combos that are graded much like Devil May Cry, and reward keeping your attack streams fresh and not just spamming the same attacks over and over. In my opinion, this adds a lot of variety to the combat, and I dig it. Ghost Rider has two different super moves that can help you out of a bind. He can either put himself in an almost rage mode, where he takes little to no damage and can put devastating hurt on a group of demons, while being able to grab an enemy and do his popular penance stare, which will kill them instantly. Or he can do an attack that pretty much destroys any of the smaller enemies at once. Thankfully, each of these moves have separate meters and can really help even things out, because some of the fights later on in the game are tricky. Mainly because having lots of big enemies mixed in with the smaller ones, and the camera angles just make it tricky. Thankfully, you can block most of the attacks that come your way, so it can cut down a lot of the cheap hits you would receive from this issue. A few enemies peppered throughout have a seal protecting them from harm until you reach a certain combo level, so they won't take any damage until you make the grade. The best thing to do here is to take out all the enemies around them, and then take them on when you have them alone. Otherwise, they can cause a lot of issues. Stages are broken up into two styles: straightforward character action, and then almost road rage style motorcycle levels. The motorcycle levels are pretty cool and give you attacks with Ghost Rider's chains, a hellshot projectile coming straight from his bike like a homing missile, and maneuvers like being able to jump and slide. There are a few boss battles fought in these levels too, and those are actually far easier than the character action ones. They play out in a chase where you dodge obstacles thrown at you by the boss, and you have to catch up and punish them for their sins. At a certain point I had all of my upgrades leveled up, and it made me almost impossible to defeat in these stages. I had triple homing missiles and took out most baddies before they could even approach me. So would I recommend Ghost Rider? Well, if you're still rocking the PlayStation 2 and looking for a cheap character action game, then you could do much worse. It doesn't break any new ground, but it does offer some fun battles and gameplay. It doesn't cost much at all to snag a copy currently, and the game is about 3 hours long. So while it isn't super long, there's still some cheap fun to be had if you like the character and you want to check out an older title one night. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the review. If you liked what you saw, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the little bell beside it so you can get a notification each time a new review is posted. I got plenty more to come. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you on the next one.